Kim. Live to be well. Live to be well with Dr. Kim, with Dr. Kim.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin, and welcome to Live to Be Well. It's just such a blessing to be here with you. Let a friend know, call someone, let them know that Live to Be Well is on the air. What is Live to Be Well? Well, mind, body, and soul. We are excited for our Mother's Day editions. We're doing a two-part series. Tonight, we have two wonderful special guests. And I'm just excited. You know, what are the qualities of a good mother? What are the qualities? And we know in our society that there are individuals have struggled through loss. We have lost. My mother is now passed on, 2014, Venmore Logan. But I do honor her memory. I honor the memory of my grandmother, Pauline Taylor, and Ollie Green, my grandmothers. And what they poured into me, they were awesome mothers. So we can name so many amazing people in our lives, but we want tonight to salute mothers. So we want you to share the names of different people that you would like to honor tonight on this broadcast. And women that have poured into you, your mother, and the qualities of your mothers that have now come into you. I think about my mother. My mother was an individual with great fashion sense. She sewed and she could make anything. And she loved things to be, coordinated, the colors all coordinated. She loved that. I do have that style from her. My mother was a very, very good cook. Oh my goodness. And I do cook well. And some of the things that I make, I can call myself a chef. And she loved colors. She loved putting colors together. I love colors. My mother was very detailed about taking care of her business, her credit. She always maintained a great credit score, her finances. And I'd like to be able to say that I do carry that quality also. So tonight, just want to bless individuals. My aunt Mary Graham, Audrey Graham in California, my sister Renee, Dr. Renee Humphreys. I want to salute Dr. Juanita Martin and Mrs. Nettie Gray and Elder Beverly King. So many amazing women in my life that have come in to be a support to me. But the impact of motherhood reigns from the beginning of time with Eve and when she gave birth to her children. And who are we? What are we becoming today? What do we see in society today? You know, we've been told that we have babies having babies. So we want to be able to look at how today in our society, what are we doing to make a change? I want to bring ML6 on the air. Come on, ML6, come on in. Oh, she's having some issues. Okay, well, we'll move forward with her, and hopefully she'll come in as soon as she gets her in there. But what I'm going to do then, I'm going to move into my special guest. I've known her since 2003, and I had the privilege of meeting she and her twin sister, Denise and Debbie, after they heard me speak at Oakwood University for graduation. And they invited me to come to the Maryland area for their women's conference to be their speaker. And it was amazing. I tell you, and it was so good, they brought me back the next year. And I was just truly blessed. And we have been friends ever since. And our daughters, you know, have been friends. They met each other at Oakwood University. And so here we are today, you know, bringing lives together. So at this time, I'm going to bring on my dear friend, Mrs. Debbie Anderson. Come on, Debra.
Hello there, Kim. Thank you so much for having us this evening. What a pleasure it is to finally see you in all of your glory on Living to Be Well. Listen, and it's not just a pleasure and an honor, but it's going to be an education for me too. So I am looking forward just to chatting with you.
Yes. I love you. I love Paul. I met your husband We were classmates at Oakwood University.
That's right.
And not knowing, when I met you, that you were married to Paul. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is just nothing but divine intervention. And Micha and Dee knowing each other already, they're classmates. So, Debbie, let's get into it. And then Micha will come on and then bring in Dr. Jackson, your daughter.
Okay.
All right, Debbie, what are some of the qualities that, you have gained being a mother and what you gained from your mother?
Let me start with I love the way you started with honoring and naming the women in your life. So if you give me a moment just to do that.
Yes.
So my mother was Wilhelmina Crable.
Yes.
Her mother was Wilhelmina Cantrell.
Yes.
And those two dynamic forces truly shaped who I am today.
Amen.
And I had the privilege of spending my first to maybe 5 years with my grandmother, and then with my mother. But I also like to call the name of Thelma Anderson, Paul's mother. Everybody has these horrible mother-in-law stories. She was the best mother-in-law.
Yes.
I'm not saying we didn't have our issues. She was the best mother-in-law I could have ever asked for. And thank God she birthed her son. It was a privilege knowing her as well. So what are the qualities? Let me tell you about the qualities of my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother was born in 1892.
Wow.
And so she approached life with a spirit of determination.
Yes.
Because she was born in that time when people told her, I can't, you never will. But she was a determined soul. And she was a gifted woman. She was a teacher, not by profession.
Okay.
But through her life, she just taught numerous number of people. She was the best cook in the entire world. I learned all of my culinary skills from my grandmother, not my mother, because I learned different things from my mother, but my mother was busy working. So my grandmother taught me those basic culinary skills. And she was just kind. She was one who, my profession is, I am a communicator.
Yes.
And the development of my speech came from my grandmother.
Yes.
Who never would allow us to use slang.
That's right.
Always said you must speak properly.
Right.
So that people will, one, understand you, two, that they will respect you.
Yes.
My mother was probably the kindest, most gentle soul I have ever met. She would do anything for you. And if I had one word to describe Mommy, and I called her Mommy until the day she died. If I had to describe one word, it would be persevere. She did not have an easy life, raising 4 girls, birthed through the teenage years. Oh, have mercy, Lord. And then, watching us grow up and have our own children. But she was a determined soul. She was a resilient soul.
Yes.
And so those are the qualities I gained from them, which in turn are the qualities that I try to instill in my children.
Yes.
Be resilient.
Yes.
Persevere through whatever it is that you have to persevere.
Yes.
Be kind.
Yes.
Be kind. It doesn't take anything
to
be kind.
Amen.
You don't have to like everybody.
That's it.
But kindness is a gift freely shared. Cost you nothing, but it can be the best gift to the person on the receiving end. So those are 3 things that I would say: persevere.
Yes. Resilience.
Be kind.
Yes.
And garner that resilience that is in your DNA.
Yes. Yes. Let me ask you this. What was it like for you to hold your baby for the first time, your babies?
Oh, my goodness.
What was it like?
Well, the first one is always the one that you learn on, right? Yes. And so Jared, our oldest, our son, It was a tough delivery. It was 32 hours um, of just difficulty. But when I held him, it was it was just special. It was a feeling I had never. It's an indescribable feeling, and that sounds like a cliche, but you have no idea, right, what you're going to expect, and so it is an undescribable feeling. Um, with DeAndrea, I
Mhm.
was super groggy, more so than with Jared. And DeAndrea was our miracle baby in
Oh,
that I almost lost her. I was on
oh,
bed rest for a long time.
hmm.
And so even the doctor was saying, we don't know when she is born. Honestly, if they had to do a partial D&C. So we don't know what she's going to have and what she's not going to have. And I didn't want to know because it didn't matter.
Mhm.
But when she was born, the wee hours of the morning,
Mhm.
she was perfect,
That's perfect.
absolutely perfect. And then they took her away right away because they had to put her under the belly Reuben light, and it was quite a different. The two births were very different, but it was, having a boy is one thing, having a girl is
Oh, yeah.
something else. And it was just special. It was
That's special.
just
Praise God.
special.
Well, listen, we've been talking about our beautiful babies. ML6, come on in. Hello, Thomas. Welcome welcome, Michelle. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you for joining us. Well, ML6, come on in so you can bring in our special guest. Come on, Miss Lambert. How you doing, darling? All right. Well,
Hi,
Hi, everybody.
L6.
yeah.
Hi. I was just enjoying the conversation. You all, it's so funny as you all were talking about just us and the way it was like you were thinking about it and you were going back to those moments and you were going back to that time. And it was just like you literally, it's almost you left the conversation for a bit and you went back there
Yes.
and just remembered. And it was almost like it was just marinating and from your mind out into your lips to us. And I was just like, wow, they really love us.
Yeah,
And
little
Debbie,
bit,
a little
Paquito.
bit, Debbie, and I went into a coma. Micah was 39 hours of labor. I went into a coma for 3 days, and I pushed so hard that our blood vessel in her eye burst.
Oh my word!
Yes, my baby had a blood vessel burst in her eye, and I was just like, okay. And then I was reading the book of Micah. I was reading
Oh,
the book of Micah, and I said, I don't know if you're male or female, but your name will be Micah,
Micah.
strong one, the strength that will lead. And that's how she got her name. Yes,
Wow.
yes. I was reading the word of God and I turned to the book of Micah and they said, well, what is her name? And I looked at the Bible. I said, her name is Micah, the prophet.
That is beautiful. If I can tell you real quick how DeAndrea got her name,
Yeah.
um, I was working in radio broadcasting, and I was a news anchor, and a story came across the wire. Michael, you'll get this. Story came across the wire about a little girl, two sisters in San Francisco, and the two sisters were playing in the street. And you know how the streets in San Francisco are, they just go straight
To go
downhill.
down. Hmm.
Right. And a brake came off of one of the cars. And the car ran over both of the little girls.
Oh, no.
I was 8 months pregnant with D. And that
Wow.
story just tore at my heart. And I was looking for a name that began with A. And so when I read this story and I saw the little girl's name was DeAndrea, D
Wow.
apostrophe Andria. And I started
Wow.
praying for that little girl. My heart just went out to her. And I said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen with that one. But this little girl, in honor of that little girl, is
Oh,
going to be
Oh,
named
wow.
DeAndrea.
oh,
As fate would have it, I have no idea what happened to her.
Oh,
oh.
my
But
goodness.
in my heart and in our family, DeAndrea lives on.
Lives
So
on. That
that's
is
her name.
amazing.
That's just
That
beautiful.
is amazing.
Well,
That is amazing.
ML6, why don't you bring this miracle
Well, let
baby?
me tell. Listen, I just call her sweet sister. I have adored this one since the day that I met her. She has always been my special one, my mini me. When she came to Oakwood, and I just really watched her grow, and her family trusted me with her and looking out for her, and I will forever be grateful for that. And to see her now, just a beautiful woman. She always been beautiful, just always been that girl, but a wife, a mother, a professional. Oh my goodness, she has the brain of a genius. Okay, like the way she thinks and processes. She is an amazing. She's in the psychology field. I'm bringing in my sweet sister DeAndrea.
Man.
Hey guys,
Hey,
I'm like
hey.
blushing over here.
Welcome.
That's my baby.
Here. That's my big sister. Hi, mommy. Hi, Auntie Kim.
Hello, my sister.
Hey.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you when you received your doctorate, and I was just excited for you. And of course, as your mother just stated, here we are both as mental health, clinical psych, psychological counseling, and your mother and Micha communication.
Is that crazy? That is just so. Oh.
I never
put that together
at all. So that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so D, they had their time. They had their moment. Okay, so this is our time to just talk about what is it like for you, being the daughter of this eloquent, beautiful speaker that is just so amazingly poised that you can't help but like get it right, get it tight when you are in her presence. What has it been like for you to be her daughter? Ups, downs, good, bad. We're gonna talk about it all.
We're gonna talk about it all. I'm gonna start with the great, okay? Because my mother made me who I am, and I am so appreciative for who she is and how she's poured into my life. I am a confident, persistent, determined woman because of the woman that modeled womanhood for me. My mother is amazing, okay? Not that she doesn't have her experiences, not that we haven't had our experiences. One time she called her sister and she said, somebody's not going to make it to 18. And guess how old I am? Shortly after that, I was off to boarding school. So
same, the same thing.
Thank the Lord for Pine Forge Academy, I suppose. I am still here. But my mom has been a source of support, a source of compassion, a source of guidance. She is my filter when I lose it. I can call my mom and I can say, Mommy, I need 10 minutes. And it doesn't, unless she is like in the throes of something that she absolutely cannot put down, she will take that time and she will give me my 10 minutes to vent, to express, to fuss and do all the things. And then she'll tell me, okay, 10 minutes is up. What's the solution? What are we going to do? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to respond? And I think that a lot of the skills that I have as a therapist really come from what my mom taught me in terms of communication, problem solving, strategizing, sitting with feelings, and then moving forward or moving on through those feelings. So I am who I am because of who she is. And I appreciate you, Mommy.
Love you, baby. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. D, as we were growing up, we have similar experience. Same thing with me. It was one of those things like somebody not gonna make it. Somebody had to leave the house, and I pay the bills. And I was out to boarding school in Ohio, like in the middle of the night, like out. But that I always say thank you to my mom, even though that time was not the best time for us as mother and daughter. That send off to boarding school really was intricate in my development as a young woman and even as a professional. And it taught me like a level of independence. And even when I was away, I don't know, your experience, but even that first year that I was gone, it was hard, like for my mom and I. It was really, really hard. And then as time went on, I think we were able to understand each other better and be more, I guess, open with each other. And then she got pregnant with Aaron, which was really random. But That was a whole different thing. And then just wanted to put that out there. Like, you send me off to boarding school and then you decide to have another baby. What are we doing here? But when you and I met at Oakwood, D, I think one of the things that we bonded over was the fact that we had these strong professional moms and trying to discover and be ourselves with them as our mothers, and having them to understand, like, we're not you. We appreciate you. We honor you. We love you. At the same time, we have to go through the things that we have to go through. Now, for me, I had gone through, because I was older than you, but I just remember a situation that we had, and like, we had to really work that thing through, D, and get you through that. And I know that I was always blessed to be able, like I said, I was trusted with you during that time to just kind of be a medium between your mom and you, and we just were able to all come together as a family. But during that time period, it was a growth spurt for you. And what was going through your mind, if you can remember, as you were transitioning? I mean, you were becoming a woman, and you were coming into your own thing and transitioning into and trying to explain it to your mom, and then leading to where you are now with you and your mom's relationship.
Oh, that was a rough period of time. That coming of age experience, I think I come from a family that casts very big shadows. Sometimes so big that it feels like I kind of blend into the shadow, as opposed to feeling like I had ever stood out in my own right. Like, there's still people we meet to this day, or I meet them and they're like, oh, I didn't know your parents had a daughter. Y'all, I'm almost 40. I've been here a long time. I don't know when you ran across them, but yes, they have a daughter. And so they're big shadows, my mom's and my dad's, and even my brother's, because he's such a charismatic individual with such a large personality, that I sometimes feel like I kind of got lost in that. And so, especially during college, right? So boarding school is one experience, and you're learning yourself, and you're going through difficulties and navigating female relationships and male relationships and dating, and all of that was kind of challenging to do without the presence of a parent right there in that moment. And I found that to be difficult, right? So I'm sifting through that, and then I go into college with a lot of these people that I went to high school with, only to then find myself in a space where I still have to figure out who I am, right? And then you go to a space where your dad went to school here, and people know your family. And so again, it's like, how do I carve out my own sense of identity? And while, Mommy, you've been a great, great, great mom, there was always this expectation growing up as a pastor's kid that you're seen a certain way, that you show up a certain way, and you act a certain way. And I have shall we call it a rebellious spirit? Yes, because we're just going to be authentic.
That's just what it is. Yeah, we both have it. Yeah, for sure.
I have a rebellious spirit that refused to be put into this box. And so I was going to do and experience and navigate life the way I thought it needed to be navigated, or doing the things that I wanted to explore, right? And my parents sent me there with this expectation: get the degree. And Mommy said, don't forget, you need to get a husband while you're there. And I was like, the pressure, because I don't find anyone here that I like. And so that created its own challenges. But I think in that period of time, trying to identify who I was, what was important to me, what were my own values, there was a lot of tension. And I'm so grateful for you, because you were that medium for a period of time to help kind of ease up off the pressure of mom, and what are you supposed to do? What do you think you're supposed to be doing here? And all of these things, to just allow me the opportunity to explore. And I think as mom got comfortable kind of letting go of some of those reins, I was able to take strides in that way and find myself. I had to make some mistakes. And I think that despite her position about my decisions, my experiences, she still allowed me the space to grow. And I think her community, right, her mothering community also stepped in to help with that, to say, you've got to let her figure it out, right? The more you press, the more you push, the more you assert, the more that rebellious spirit is going to do what it's going to do, and she's going to find herself in different spaces. And so I can appreciate that over time, our relationship grew to be something different. It grew to be a space of acceptance and
Yeah.
tolerance and agreement to disagree on things if we needed to, but always a space of compassion. And that's what I really needed during that period of time. It was difficult to figure out how to get there, to figure out how to communicate with my mom, because I think, Mommy, you always described me as little girls being very precocious. I remember that word.
Precocious.
Precocious and persnickety, because I was very particular about what I wanted and didn't want. But navigating communication was a challenge because I've always been very assertive, right? Like DeAndre is going to say what she wants to say, and DeAndre is going to do what it is that she wants to do.
Definitely.
And now I have one of those of my own. And her name is Chloe.
Right. And that leads me to my next question. Because now you're a mom and seeing it for yourself, maybe even from her perspective a little bit. Now, like, what is that like?
I have so much respect.
Okay.
So much respect for her experience. But I also think that I've learned how to manage things in a little bit of a different way than what it was that I experienced. And so, our experiences with parenting become our foundation for how we learn to navigate relationships, be it our friendships, our romantic relationships, and certainly in parenting, our parents' model is the blueprint. And so the model that I was given was a very solid model, but it was also okay for me to make some revisions, right? To go in and do a little bit of remodeling and figure out, I think I like this feng shui better. I might knock that wall down and do things a little bit differently in my parenting experience. And so there's a lot that I've learned: compassion, kindness, gentleness, openness. These are all things that may have developed later on in the relationship between me and Mommy, but they're ones that I'm trying to instill and implement now in the lives of my middle children. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense. And so I want to bring the moms back in for just a second because I got some questions for them. Got some questions for the mothers. Okay. Auntie, you said something earlier about when the first child is basically like you guys are figuring it out together. And what I've learned, and DeAndre, you can chime in on this, is as I've gotten older, I've kind of developed a compassion for parents, because the reality of the situation is you all were learning yourselves all while trying to learn another human. And going off of how you were mothered, then taking it back to how your mother was mothered, then how their mother was, you see what I'm saying? Like going all the way back and then bringing it forward. Not everything was perfect. Not everything was right. You're literally learning as you grow. And like I said, as an adult now, when I think about it, I've like, man, like when I think about like the times I would get in trouble, or when like Mommy would just like that kind of be mad at me for stuff that she might not should have been mad at me about, and maybe I deserve an apology right now, but it's okay because we're past that. But then I think about it and I say to myself, well, you know what? But then I say, you know what? She was trying to figure it out too. And considering, for my mom being a single mom with me, when I think about the pressures that she was under to be great. And to not, people always ask me like, well, why are you necessarily, quote unquote, like proud of being a child born of wedlock? I said, that's my story. And because that was my mother's strength and her purpose. It was her purpose pusher, because what she wasn't going to do was she wasn't going to do it again. What she wasn't going to do was she was going to make sure that her child had the best life, that her child was afforded the things that maybe she didn't have. She was going to push forward for her child to have that. And when I say that my mom did that 100 times over, what may have started out as a quote unquote bad decision, it ended up being, in my opinion, the best decision of her life. Just having me and pushing her forward to complete, like watching her, we really watched our moms. It was a different type of strength. When you think about it now as an adult, like how did you do that? You were the second child when my mom just had me, And I'm like, Mom, how did you balance that? And of course you had family and you had, those, but at the end of the day, we were theirs.
Mm-hmm.
We were their children.
Mm-hmm.
And them, getting the education and being the best. And I can only imagine the nights as moms, and you guys can talk about this, when you all, close your door at night when you didn't get it right. And when you feel like you might have failed as a parent and you cried at night and you may have felt like, okay, maybe I'm not being a good mother in this situation and I don't know what to do. And those prayers that you cried unto God, I can only imagine. I don't have any children. I just have a dog. And that's really where I'm at with everything in life right now. So I can't imagine, Auntie and Mom, for you all in that time period, those tears and those prayers of growth as being a mom. Can you kind of speak to that?
Debbie, go ahead, Debbie.
I was going to say the same thing to you. It was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of listening to my own mother, and the advice that she would give, listening to my husband's mother, and the advice that she gave was invaluable, because even though Dee was the second, I didn't know what the devil I was doing. Nothing. They really, when people say they don't come with instruction books, there are some, self, books that you can learn from, but a manual, an everyday A to Z manual does not exist for parents, because every parent is different. Every child is different, and you cannot parent children the exact same way.
Say it again. Say it again.
You really can't. You cannot parent children the exact same way, because they have different personalities. They have different needs. They have different desires. They have different personalities. One is stubborn. One is not. One is kind and loving. The other one has a mouth. And you have to learn how to guess which one had the mouth. Anyway. You just have to learn how to navigate. And a wise woman once said that the prayers of the mother continue after the death of the mother for their children.
Oh, yes.
And that is so important to know, that even the prayers that my grandmother prayed for me, she didn't know about DeAndrea.
No.
But the prayers that she prayed for me continue and resonate in my spirit, so that I can continue to pray for my children. And, praying for them every single day, even now. Oh my goodness. It's the first thing I do in the morning. Yeah. The last thing I do at night, every day. So Mom, that's what got me through.
I can't sleep, Debbie and Dee, unless I talk to Micha and Aaron in the morning and at night. The first thing I do with Micha every morning is what, Micha?
Call me, talking, and then like, we have to have prayer. Knowing I'm half asleep.
And when I see that phone ring at 9:00 my time, or 9:00 her time, is 12:00 Eastern Standard Time. And I may be in a therapy session, Dee, or, a lot of my clients and patients know, is that Micha calling for prayer? They all automatically know. I praise God for my mother, Venmore Logan. And I thank God for what I had to go through. My parents got divorced when I was 12. And my mother and my father would come over every day. He did my sister Renee and my hair. We did chores. No one didn't even know my parents were divorced like 2 or 3 years, because my father was ever present. And even after that. And my mom always spoke highly of family and my grandparents. We spent time together with our grandparents and learning the values. And I was validated by a loving family. And Micha had that same shadow over her, the names that stand out in our family today. She is a part of that legacy, And I thank God for giving me the sense of being valued by my family, being valued by my mother, my grandmothers, and my great-grandmother, Viney Whiteside. and knowing what they stood for and how they carried themselves. And my mother was a praying woman. She prayed for me, because I tell you, I was something else. And I was the one was always saying, well, why? And my mother said, did she just lose her mind? Because I wanted to know why. Well, why do I have to do it this way? Why do I have to do it that way? And let me tell you something, Debbie, I don't know if you go through this, but Micha is now taking over the role of being my mother. Okay? As if we are female, child. She will tell me, Mom, where's your glasses? They right here in my hand.
Listen, I heard her ask you where your water was.
Where's the water? Mom, did you do this? Did you do that? Mom, did you get? I'm like, wait a minute now. Okay. And
well, let me just interject for just a second. A lot of that has to do with Auntie, because Mom, and you may have a habit of this too. You all do so much, and you go, and you take care of so much. And oftentimes you all neglect yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as your daughters, the daughters that you raise, the ones that can probably will literally like check anybody about you. Like, you're not going to say nothing about my mom. You're not going to, even whether right or wrong, we're the ones that are going to step up. And so we're the ones that can see you even at your lowest, even when you aren't perfect, and still wrap our arms around you. We don't care about how the world may see you. You're just our moms to us. So for us, if something isn't right with you, we are going to check you. If I don't feel like, okay, Mom, you're not eating enough. Mom, you need, like I heard you the other day and I was like, no, you need to get back on the bike. You need to get back. Like, I don't like the way you were breathing. I need you to get back on the treadmill. And for me, and to keep it all the way a buck, Mom, you're my only parent left. You're the only parent I have left. And I was literally thinking about this yesterday. And we've been talking a lot about wills and making sure things are in order. And it's just like, okay, well, I understand what life and, the process of life and all that. But while you're still here, I'm going to do my part to make sure that, I know I can't control everything, but if I want to make sure, like, I don't like the way you're sounding, I need you to get some rest, or maybe you need to take a day out of your week. Why are you working 6 days a week? You make your own schedule. Take 2 days off. What are you doing?
Well,
I'm going to say it.
They shall thy labor. That's what the Bible.
Yeah, but let me be very clear. Let me be very clear about that. Majority of the time, Sabbaths are work for a lot of you people. So it's not a day of rest. So then you do that all day Sabbath, taking care of the church and doing all the things. And then Sunday, you're right back at work. What have you done for yourself? Now, you can back me up on this. And I know sometimes it's hard for the doctor to do what is prescribed. So that's when I'll step in and be like, hey, how about you take a day, go skating, take a day off. And you've been doing very well. Like, I don't, you've been doing things. But, I want to make sure you all raised us. You know what I'm saying? We're living our lives. We want you all to still enjoy. And Auntie, I'm saying this to you too, to enjoy and get out there. And you know what I'm saying? Like, go. And I know you guys travel and do all the things. And we want you to continue to live your best lives. As our moms, we're not, you raised us. You raised us. And you raised us to be these strong women that can see and that are compassionate, that are caring, that are loving. We may have a little attitude, we got a little snapback, but when it comes down to you all, we don't play. We don't play.
Not even for a second.
Not for 1 second. It's not a game out here. And we are you all's legacy.
Yeah. So
we're you all's legacy.
So Dee, do you do that too to your mother?
Oh, all the time. Don't you see the eye roll? Maybe too much.
Yes, Bonnie, the roles are reversing. Yes.
Can I say this? And I love that. Micha, I love everything about what you just said. Dee, I love the fact that you check in on me. But here is something important that I want you all to remember.
Okay.
Don't do this role reversal too early. We know how old we are.
That's right.
We know that we might not remember the name of every person that we meet as quickly as we did before. We might leave the garage door open at night and don't realize it until the next morning, or we might leave the flame on the stove a little too hot.
Danger.
Don't count us out too early. Allow us. And again, I appreciate that, Micah. I appreciate that, DeAndrea. But don't relegate us to the nursing home before we're ready.
That's right. That's right.
Allow us to continue. We know better than you guys do the deficits that we have this year that we didn't have last year. And we're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you. But allow us to hold on to the who we are as long as we can before you guys start, help me with the words, Kim, putting us away.
Yes.
We love it. We want you to take care of us, but take care of us when we're ready.
Yes. Yes.
Does that make any sense?
It
does.
Say
that lovingly enough?
No, you did. It was the other day, mommy called me with a situation and I went into immediate protective mode and I heard her get quiet. And when we got off the phone, I said to myself, the next time she calls, I'm just going to listen. And I'm just going to, she wants to talk it through. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to try to give a solution unless she gives a suggestion. And what happened the next time you called me, mommy?
You listened. She just listened, and D, what happened was I went into the, I don't know where I was, but I was at the store, some store, and I was only in there for a minute. I came out and I said, where are my keys? Where are my keys? And I had my house keys, I keep them on separate rings. Where's my key? I got out of the car, and usually my car will say, don't forget your key. It didn't say it. It light up on my screen. And my key was right in my cup holder. I got in the car, and I composed myself because it kind of frightened me. Called Micha, and I said, Micha, I don't want to alarm you, but I want you to be aware. And I'm fine. I'm good. And Michael was right. I had about 30 things on my mind that day that I had to do. Check off. I'm up at 6:30 in the morning, 5:30. I don't go to bed at 2:00 in the morning because I'm doing check off.
Which is insane.
Which is insane. And I just did a scripture. I'm doing a conference tomorrow for pastors and, how to live to be well. And resting, the Bible said God gives rest to his children. And it doesn't make sense for me to do this. So now I'm prioritizing myself, me first, God, me, my children, and I'm not doing it anymore. Someone even.
Are you sure? Because I've been asking. Are you sure?
D, I got a call. This lady said, what do you mean you're going out of town? I'm not going to be available.
And let me tell you something. When you come when you make your trip, I'm trying to tell you, you're not. You know what I mean?
I will be on a cruise and I've done 30 sessions.
I'm not doing that.
I will be in Huntsville 10 sessions.
Oh no, man.
Kim,
that's what I'm saying. Nothing. Okay, thank you.
No,
Help her. No. Help your sis out because I can't.
There's a whole thing that says out of office in the practice management system, and it is okay to click that.
D, help her.
Connect with the clients. The thing now will just say out of office. Do you want us to cancel the appointments for today and communicate with our clients? Auntie Kim, if you don't have that electronic health record, let me put you on. Because
please put her on because I'm like, listen, they will be okay. And I have to try to explain to her. And if any of her clients are on this listening, this is no shade to you at all. But I need you to understand where she may have been available to you at all times of the night, that will stop. That will stop.
It has to. But you know what? After Arthur
there should never start with but.
Okay.
And you're negating what I say with the but. Are you?
Hold on, y'all don't come for Auntie Kim. She knows how to use her words.
That's it. Okay. But it was such a comfort to me to have so much to do during that time. but it's been 7 years, going on 8, and I'm not where I used to be, not completely there, but at the same time, I know I don't have to continue to do that. That is not good self-care for me. And so I'm now.
And it's a lack of boundaries between you and your patient.
Yes. And so she says, listen, so true. Bonnie, stop, Bonnie. And so
Bonnie, I like you.
I'm doing much better because of the fact I remember my mom would make sure, it was 3 of us in boarding school. Derek was at Andrews. My brother was at Andrews. My sister was at Cedar Lake. I was at Adelphian. And when I would come home, Mom would be so tired. And I said, this is not good. She said, well, I'm not going to put you in public school, and we got through boarding school. Then we went on to college, and it was just, her, tenacity, resilient, making sure that we were going to go all the way with Christ and good education, great education. So now where I am now, I am recognizing how to validate myself. I used to have to be validated by other people. I don't have to do that anymore. I learned that about 30 years ago through Arthur. Arthur helped me realize that. I didn't have to be validated, because Arthur used to say, oh, if you didn't go to Oakwood, you what that mean? And then he went down to Oakwood. He said, oh, I see why it's such a great school, but I'm go blue. He Michigan and Wayne State, okay? But he would teach me, Kim, shut it down, go to sleep. And I'd be like, oh, Arthur, I got an idea for a book. Arthur, I got an idea. He said, Kim, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Because one thing my daddy did, he took a break. He would be at the golf course. He would call me and he would be like, if your mama looking for me, just tell her you can't find me. But I'm telling you, I went to go see a movie. And I was like, okay.
He would just disappear.
Because he understood the balance. And his thing was, I worry, but I won't let it work me. And so I'm just trying to, I mean, D, you and I have it too. We have that work ethic too. But we also know when it's just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So that's what, Mom, I would like to instill in you. But Aunt Debra, I hear you. I heard you. And I will definitely do my part as you all are growing. And I think for all of us as mothers and daughters, and just as women, there's a continual growth stage within us. We're constantly getting to know who we are daily because we're constantly changing. As the world changes, as our lives change, as our families get larger and things are developing within our families, we're realizing how you said it. Like, we may not handle something the way that we did last year, that same way this year. And it's all a process. And I just think, as mothers and daughters, we're growing. I believe that there's something so special about the mother-daughter bond.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something so unique. And, the growing pains of it all. Auntie, what do you see in D? Like, just sometimes when you're talking to her just on a regular day and you say to yourself, "Ooh, that's me."
Yeah.
Do you have those moments?
I have fewer of those moments than I do of, dang,
Daddy.
she's so wise. Did I birth this child? What? I mean, D balances me so well, Micha and Kim, or brings me to a reality that I need to get to. Honestly, when I listen, that it just amazes me that she is who she is. We made so many mistakes. Paul and I made so many mistakes, and we say every day, it's nothing but the grace of God that our children turned out as well as they did. They are not perfect, but who they are has little to do with us as we see it, but rather God's divine intervention when we didn't know what we were supposed to be doing. So I am amazed at the individual that she is. I am amazed that I can call her mine.
That's right.
But But truly, I think she's much more her father's child. She's they both have their doctorates. They were both in the Navy. They both speak their minds unabashedly. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're very secure in who they are. She is Paul Anderson personified. And I am blessed because of that. I'm blessed. And Jared is my child. He's my child. My child. And I'm, I ask forgiveness all the time. But it's just a delight to be their mothers. And Kim, I have to say to you, the first time, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but the first time I heard your name was when DeAndrea called me after class one day at Oakwood. And she said, "Mommy!" And whenever she wants my attention, "Mommy!" This lady came to our class today and she walked in the room and she owned it. Mommy, she owned the room, and she just told me what you did and how you did it and how you talked to the students and how you connected with everyone. And your presence was so profound to her. And her bottom, I want to be like her. I want to be, that was the first I had ever heard of Kim Logan-Nowlin.
Oh my goodness.
And that time in the communications department when Micha made me go, she was like, "My mom is in the communications department and you're going." Okay. I'm there.
Oh, I am just so blessed.
Yeah.
And I said this, mommy, when mommy will say, "I'm going to leave the business to you," I was like, "No, you can leave that to DeAndrea, because what am I do with it? Like, that's not my thing." I wouldn't know what to do with a counseling clinic, but wow,
it was amazing. And Micha, I just want to say to you, thank you, because you were DeAndrea's big sister, surrogate mother, when I could not be there physically, but I could not be because of our own issues. But you saw her through some very dark times, some very formidable moments. So I just want to say thank you for the fact that she's even still here. Hello. Okay.
When I always knew DeAndrea was so special, and she had this fight in her. And it was like, if it wasn't nurtured, it would have destroyed her. And I just knew that it just had to be nurtured and kind of loved in a different way. And she just kind of had to see herself for herself and to just kind of say, "Okay, let's try it this way." And that fight, like I said, seeing her now,
it was not that gentle. It
wasn't that gentle, but seeing her now, I remember the last time I was in Huntsville, she and the family came over, and I was just looking at her, and I just was in awe of just her beauty, just her maturity, just seeing her as a mom with the kids, seeing her, as a wife, just like I said, a professional, and she's my baby. There were 4 of them, and they were my babies. They were my Maryland babies.
Wow.
And they will forever and always have my heart. And whether we talk every day, whether we talk once a year, there is literally nothing. It's something about those 4, D, Makita, Tisa, Ashley. It was something about those 4 that connected to my heart. Even like before, I just felt like I had to protect them and be there for them. And that will always stand. And then the relationship that you all have, our moms have with each other. It just was so divine in my opinion. It was extremely divine. And then you being a master orator, like I'm sitting here like literally taking on every word, everything you say, because I just love the way you speak, Auntie. It has always been just like the epitome of excellence to me. And I have just always loved it. And I thank you, because it was, I could come to you, and during those moments we would have those conversations and talk, and just real conversations. And I think that developing and relationships are so important.
They are.
Relationships are so important. And the relationships that we have with you all as our moms, as we honor you all this weekend. And that's just not because it's Mother's Day. We honor you all every single day. When we look in the mirror, we may have attributes of our other parents, but when it comes down to it, we came out of you all.
Yes.
We came from you all. You all carried us for 9 months. You all talked to us and rubbed bellies and did all the things that mothers do for those 9 months. You all literally pushed out purpose.
Come on now.
Can I write that
purpose.
down?
Michael, put that on a t-shirt and sell
Yes.
Without purpose.
Yes.
Literally
I like that.
Can I say something that I think is so
ahead.
special about mothers? The attunement. My mom called me this morning, and this afternoon, I was on the way to pick up my kids, and just the way I said, "Hey, Mom," she was like, "What's wrong? Something's going on, right?" It is the tone. And I remember when I was pregnant with my son, I answered the phone one morning, I was on my way to work, and my mom was like, "Hey, D," and I was like, "Hey, Mom." And she said, She got in the car. I was geo-batched and stationed in Virginia by myself. And she got in the car. And by the time I finished work for internship that day, I came home and walked in the apartment building. And my mother was sitting in the lobby on the phone, just waiting, sitting in the lobby. She said, I talked to you this morning and it just wasn't right in my spirit. I had to come down. She did it again after I delivered Braden. The first time, I think, what did we do, Mom? You took me to California Pizza Kitchen because
we went upstairs to your apartment and I washed your dishes.
Yeah.
And then we went out to California Kitchen. Yes.
And the second time she came after Braden was born, a similar experience, and she was like, "I'm coming because I need to wash some bottles and I need to make some bottles." Right? And that's literally what she did. And she would come, she would make the 3.5, 4-hour drive. And then she'd turn around and she'd go right back home, or she'd come and she'd stay overnight because she just knew that I needed that little bit of extra support, not because my husband wasn't present, right? Because I was geo-batch, I was doing my internship. He was there, but he was working in a different state. And so Mom, when she could and when was necessary, would just jump right in and meet the needs, right? After Chloe was born, Mom was like, "Don't worry about it. You're back in Maryland. I got this. I will take this child to daycare every morning. And I will sit here with her nestled in my little neck until it's time to drop her off to daycare because that's what you guys need." And it's just my mom's ability to, with very little information, just know what's going on. That attunement has always been so special and so important. And I think even in those years where things were difficult between us, she still heard, she would still know, and she'd still jump in the car or jump on a plane and be there when it was needed.
You know what? This is just amazing. My last question is to both of you. How do you provide self-care to yourself, D, and then Debbie, and then give me a wrap up of what we talked about tonight. Let's start with you, D. How do you get your self-care and give us your closing remarks? And then Debbie, how do you get your self-care and give us closing remarks?
I have learned being away from my support system how important self-care is, but how difficult sometimes it is to access as a mom. So I've reframed my idea of what self-care is, like vacations and spa treatments, massages, and all those things. I've learned to focus more on micro self-care. Am I eating enough? Am I hydrating? Am I sleeping?
Okay.
Am I taking time to do the things that bring me joy? I've learned to do my own nails because I like to. Girl. And so that's what I do for my self-care. I engage in something that brings me joy, that brings me relaxation. My children also know Sundays are mommy's days. She's going to be upstairs watching a documentary. If you need her, you know where to find her, but otherwise leave her alone.
How old are your children? How old are your children?
My son is 12 and my daughter is about to be 9 this month. She's becoming a big girl.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm in that middle parent phase where they've got a little bit more independence. Another way I engage in self-care is to connect with my community, even if they're not close. So I can call my best friend and be like, "Girl, I got a mom situation. I need to talk it through." I can call my mom at any time and say, "Ooh, there's this teacher who's about to wreck on my nerves." And mommy will say, "Filter it first, DeAndrea, filter it first." So I lean into my community, I take time for myself, and I focus on micro self-care. It's the strategy that I use. And I feel like every mom these days needs that opportunity for restoration and replenishment. They need community who can support them either logistically or just emotionally. And then we have to prioritize ourselves. So I do that when I can also.
Thanks, Debra. What can you say to our mothers that are watching? What can you say?
Hang in there. It is worth it. Mothers in early phases of motherhood, I know you're tired. I know you're exhausted. I know you wish you could reconnect with who you were before you had children, but you'll get your pink back just like a flamingo does after they've nurtured their babies for years. They get their pink back, and so will you. And I think mothers in the middle phase of parenthood, where I am, connect with yourself, re-engage with your sense of who you are outside of your role as mother, because you are important too. And these babies, they'll grow and they will learn, but they have to make their own decisions. They have to learn for themselves who they are, and you've got to stay in touch with who you are. And I think I've learned from my mother's experience that mothering never stops. So for the moms who are still parenting their adult children, you're still valued, you're still needed. Give your children the space they need to be who they are. Give them boundaries, because obviously Micha and I needed some boundaries to know we can't tell y'all what to do. But your mothering and your role is still so very important.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. D. Thank you so much. Debbie, self-care and closing remarks.
I don't have time for a lot of self-care, but I do get my hair done every other week, get my nails done every week, get a pedicure at least once a month. I try to squeeze that in there. But self-care for me right now is continuing to do the things that make me feel valuable, that make me feel fulfilled, that my purpose is not yet over.
Yeah.
So working is therapeutic for me. I know that's crazy. Now you and Dee would probably sit me down and have a whole discussion with me about that. But
she can't. She does it.
Okay, well there you go, Kim. I'll call you. I won't call Dee. But self care looks different to everybody, and taking an hour every other week to get my nails and my hair done. My mother always told me, do something for yourself. Every paycheck, do something for yourself. So online shopping has become one of my best friends. It's my part of my self-care. Okay. It just is. It might sound, crazy. I should probably do spa or reading or whatever. It makes me feel good. So I'm good.
What can you say to our seasoned mothers today? Our mothers who are, definitely having challenges in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And how do we process, where we are in our lives?
Sophia Loren said one time that motherhood is the most rewarding, yet the most challenging thing that there is. Rewarding because nothing gives you pleasure like seeing your own children grow up to be productive, caring, loving citizens and people in general. Challenging in that not one of us will escape this life without trouble and tribulation. And watching your children go through painful situations is challenging because all you want to do is step in and help them.
Yeah.
But the advice that I would give is be patient. Sometimes our adult children can be toddlers, where they will stumble, where they will fall, but they will get back up. And so be patient, be loving. Remember that you, as a mother, are the closest thing to them that they will ever have. You carried them, you birthed them, you talked to them, you fed them from your breast. They are you, and you are them.
Yes.
Guard them, care for them, pray for them, love them unconditionally. And this too shall pass.
Well said. Well said, my friend. I just appreciate you both. This is not the end. We are just beginning. This is something so amazing. And seeing, D and ML66. People, it's so funny, D, when I go different places with her and I'll say Micha and they say, who is she talking about? I said, that's my child's name. I thought her name was Six. No, her name is not Six, okay? That's her professional name. But I thank God, Debbie, I was getting dressed alumni weekend and Micha brought in a professional makeup artist and she changed my dress around a little bit. Micha said, no, I don't like that, Mom. Let's do this, Mom. And it worked. It worked.
Oh.
She picked out my shoes for alumni weekend. She said, now, don't wear your gloves. Just carry your gloves, Mom. I'm like, who you think taught you? Okay. But she had me so together, I could just slap I think I did. So one thing Micha said to me during a phone call, she said, are you going to talk or are you going to listen? Yeah. When you're ready to listen, call me back. I was like blown away, D.
Don't try it, D. Don't try
it. So the next time I called her, which was the next day or later on that day, I said, I'm here to listen. And she can always tell if I'm in the middle of a session or if I'm doing something, but I'll call her back because I want to know what's going on in her life. I don't want to lose that bond and connection. I want to know. I'm so excited. And so I thank God that she gave me that bit of advice. She said, and you'll be a better therapist too, Mom, and which I have been because I sit there for 45, 50 minutes, D, just listening. Mm-hmm. And then I'll say, now I'm ready to give you some tools. I'm ready to, let's go to the next step. And they said, I really appreciate you listening. Mm-hmm. So I thank God for that because my mother was a great listener, my grandmother, and I'd like to say that I'm a great listener and I'm learning to listen better to my children. Listen, we are so thankful for each of you. We want to just send a great shout out to everyone. And we want D and Debbie to stay on after we close out. Good evening, Miss D. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone that's viewing. Bonnie, everyone. We just want to say God bless you to so many of you. We wouldn't have enough time to go through all the names, and we want to just thank you. But listen, more than anything, we want you to take care of yourself and love on yourself because life is too short to stress and not be blessed. And listen, we're going to bring everybody back in because we got to close out. We always say on the count of 3, live to be well. Ladies, are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Live to be well.
Hey, bye, everybody.
Listen, all love you. Happy Mother's Day.
It's been a pleasure. Happy Mother's Day.
Bye.
Mwah. Mwah.